And they are declaring this Punta Del Este Eprix open with the drivers behind. And it really is great to have the support of a city like Punta del Este, which is looking to prove its global presence. And it really is a stunning place to come. It has been a great place to come for many, many years, but now it's becoming to be more and more widely known. Let's hear from our pole man, Jean-Eric Verne. He spoke to Dario Franchitti a little bit earlier on.
Well, Jeff, that didn't take long, did it? What what are the main differences, the main things you're having to adapt to with the Formula E car over the Formula 1 car?
Well, I think there is roughly 600 less horsepower and maybe a few hundred kilos more. So it's, totally different. It's, an auto car, but, racing spirit is the same. The track is really nice. It's pretty cool to drive on it, and, really close to the walls. And it's a nice event, and, enjoying it so far.
Very good. What have the guys in the team told you about the race and the things you're going to have to adapt to with all the energy saving and that kind of stuff?
Well, I believe there is a bit of energy saving to do, but to be fair, I'm going in the, totally in the unknown. I have, never done any race simulation, and all I tried to do was to be quick. Now it's going to be, another challenge in the race. So hopefully I will adapt quite quickly, and the strategy will be good.
Well, so far so good. Is this an audition for a seat with the Andretti team in IndyCar coming forward?
I think IndyCar is a really good championship. Andretti is obviously a top team, and to go there could make sense, and we'll see what happens in the future. But right now I'm focused on that race, and trying to give the best to this team. They've been really good to me so far, so we will see how it continues.
Well, congratulations, fantastic job this morning.
Thank you.
Did you find anything out in qualifying that you're going to be using in the race today?
Yeah, I think we tried some things on the car that worked, but not perfectly. So hopefully now, with a little adjustment, it will be better.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. Good luck.
Yeah, fine.
Sebastian Buemi has always struggled in qualifying. He crashed in the first race in Beijing. He then couldn't get a lap together in Malaysia. So as he says, has started at the back of the field. Didn't finish the race in Beijing, but managed to come from the back of the grid through to third place last time out in Putrajaya. So it'll be quite interesting to see what progress he can make starting that high up the grid. He's in fourth place, just behind his e.dams teammate Nico Prost, who was very, very impressive. Bruno Senna had a good qualifying, but he won't be starting where he qualified. He's with Nicky.
Bruno Senna, unfortunately, since speaking earlier, you've been given a penalty and are now starting from the very back of the grid.
Yeah, it's quite a harsh penalty for not having my tires on 5 minutes before qualifying started. I guess it's regulations and it's a breach of parc fermé, but we've seen a lot worse happening in qualifying, and lesser penalties have been applied. So it is the regulations, we have to abide to them, and yeah, we've seen last race that guys that started on the back were able to climb to very good points. So today I hope we have a boring race and with good points.
Who knows, you might win the fan boost.
Yeah, we'll see.
This could be the race that you really need it.
Yeah, maybe.
Good luck, thank you.
So Bruno Senna will be starting 20th and last on the grid. Unfortunately for him, after qualifying in 6th place. They're happy to be on the big screens, aren't they? And there again is a look. The pit lane itself is a little bit further down. Those are the marquees on the right-hand side there. That's the pit lane. And then closer towards us is the Emotion Club and the Media Centre TV. And there is Jean-Eric Verne, our pole position man, getting ready to take to the circuit. And we can now hear a little bit more about our front runners in Formula E.
As we ready ourselves for the third encounter of the FIA Formula E calendar, drivers and teams have developed their strategies to improve racing performance, and a hint of a pattern is beginning to emerge. Once again, one of the biggest pre-race talking points here in Punta Del Este is the award of the Fan Boost. The Fan Boost provides an extra 30 kilowatts of power for a 5-second boost, and Bruno Senna has won the Fan Boost vote twice in 2 races. He used it successfully in Malaysia, pulling past Nico Prost. So, is he hoping for a hat-trick of Fan Boosts?
Well, it's been to get the Fan Boost 2 out of 2 races, so I hope we can get the hat trick and do 3 out of 3. It'll be awesome.
And while Senna's been successful with the audience vote, he's been unable to convert that to points on the championship board, having not finished in 2 consecutive races.
We had a very good performance, very strong car. We were probably quickest on the track together with Sam. Unfortunately, we had to recover from bad luck in qualifying. It was running well, and then the last lap, obviously I was going to try for 3rd place and made a mistake behind Buemi, so paid for it. So no points in the bank, but we know that we have the performance to be in the top.
Qualifying took place this morning, and Jean-Eric Vergne was out in the first group of cars. And despite hitting the wall on the exit of turn 1, the Frenchman still managed to set an impressive time on his Formula E debut. That put him provisionally to the front of the grid. Matty Brabham, his teammate at Andretti, didn't have such a strong time, ending up in the sand and in the wall. Sébastien Buemi was looking strong, but he wasn't quite quick enough to match Jean-Eric Vergne at the top in the second group of qualifying. His teammate Nico Prost once again out-qualified his e.dams teammate, so Vergne was looking good. Race winner last time out, Sam Bird, ended his qualifying session in the wall at turn 17. The Englishman will have to start well down the order. Nelson Piquet Jr. was hurtling his Team China car around the streets and ended up finishing second quickest, just behind Jean-Eric Vergne. Antonio Felix da Costa was pushing hard in his Amlin Aguri car, clipping the wall on the exit of turn 11 to the surprise of the top 3. Stefan Sarrazin spun at the first corner, and no one could usurp Jean-Eric Vergne.
Jean-Eric Vergne taking your debut pole at the very first race. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's nice to be here, nice to have done the pole. I was not really expecting that, but you know, it is pretty good.
So the man who qualified quickest in the last 2 races, Nico Prost, will start 3rd, Nelson Piquet Jr. 2nd, Jean-Eric Vergne on pole. So we're almost ready to get racing here in Punta del Este. There you can see the Atlantic Ocean on the left-hand side. Over on the right-hand side, as we look at it now, is the Rio de la Plata that runs in between Uruguay and Argentina and up into the Argentinian and Brazilian rainforests. But now we are about to announce who has won the Fan Boost vote for this 3rd round of the FIA Formula E Championship. And it's, there we go, Nick Heidfeld, Jean-Eric Vergne and Salvador Duran are the 3 men who have won the Fan Boost. They will get a 5-second boost per car throughout the race to use whenever they wish, except for off the start line. So we can now hear from Salvador Duran, who is a newcomer to Formula E this weekend. He's already won the Fan Boost. He's with Nicky.
Salvador Duran, it's your first Formula E race and you've already won a Fan Boost. You're a popular man.
Yeah, it's incredible. I gotta thank all the people from Mexico, obviously, for all the support. And well, now we have to give something back in the race, so we're hoping to do that.
And how have you found today? Obviously, that's the first time you've actually been able to drive the car at full speed.
Yeah, well, you know, it's in this series, it's everything so innovative and so exciting that it's every time I do something, it's new. So I'm just glad, and I just want really to keep learning from this, and I love it.
And what was the conversation in the garage after qualifying?
Well, it was a big conversation about what to do with the car, because I wasn't happy with how I was driving it, so I needed a little bit more of confidence, and the engineers have been really helpful, and they trust in me. So now we did a big change, and for the race I hope it's the best.
And when do you think you're going to use your Fan Boost?
I don't know. I actually didn't know how to use it. We were just talking about that, how to put it on and all that. So I hope in mid-race we can use one and the second car the other one.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you enjoy your first Formula E race.
Thank you very much.
Great to have Salvador Duran on the grid. And the Mexican driver who really rose to prominence in the sort of mid-2000s, won A1 Grand Prix races for Team Mexico, a double win at Laguna Seca that in 2005 and 2006, and then he won races in the Formula Renault 3.5 series where he competed off and on until about 2010, and then his racing career sort of dried up a little, but now he's back in Formula E, and it's great to have him here running with the Amlin Aguri team. The very friendly Mexican will be starting in 15th place on the grid, so it's great for him to get a fan boost. We also can hear now underway. And there you can see the grid starting. He is down on the grid with Valeria Mazza and Nikki.
Valeria Mazza, welcome to Formula E, and thank you for making your way over here. How's your experience been going so far?
Well, great. We're having a great time here. We're very close friends with Ale, so this story for us started many years ago when this was a dream for him. And today is very, it's a special day because finally we are here in Punta del Este in this, great place. And for me, Formula E cars are like the future, but today, when you were dreaming about the future of the cars, well, this is the future today. So we are enjoying this great race in Punta del Este.
Well, Alejandro, you certainly know how to draw a crowd by choosing a track just 20 meters from the beachfront.
Yes, I think, the mechanics, they were a little bit sad in Malaysia. They couldn't go for a swim. It was very hot, so we thought, let's do this one next to the beach. I think everyone loves it. It's amazing the job they've done in Punta del Este. Our third race. The championship is really starting to get together. The drivers now are fighting each other. They know where they are. I think we're getting a real competition going, and it's fantastic to be here in Uruguay.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, both of you. Enjoy the race.
Valeria Mazza, an Argentinian supermodel, and she also has a bit of a holiday home here in Punta del Este, so that's why she's around. And look at all the balconies here. You can find a vantage point absolutely anywhere. Oh, that's the life, isn't it? Some chairs and some cervezas, and then it's happy days. We can now hear from Sam Bird. Earlier on, Nikki caught up with him. He's going to be starting 18th on the grid. A tough order today for the second place man in the championship.
Sam Bird, can you tell us what happened in qualifying when it looked like you went straight into that wall?
Yeah, it was very strange. Looks like something's got caught underneath the car. A part of the track, a part of debris or something wedged itself under the floor and stopped me from turning into the next corner. So very frustrating, very disappointing to be back here when I think we had the pace for the front two rows. But Lucas and Sebastian did it in the last race. I'm going to have to try and do it here.
Did it cause any damage to the car?
The front wing was damaged, and there's a nasty gouge in the floor from where this thing or component or whatever has got stuck and forced me to drive straight on because it lifted the front of the car up. But apart from that, everything, we're ready to go.
And you must have had to change your strategy considerably now that you're starting from the back of the grid.
Yeah, but there's not much we can do with strategy here. It's such a long race. Everybody's going to have to be conserving, and I'm the same. So it's not like I can go aggressive and pass people, but I'll do my best to see what we can do.
Thanks very much. Good luck.
So Sam Bird will be starting in 18th position on the grid, and, well, his view will be something like that, a very busy one on the run down towards the first corner. Dario Franchitti has made his way from the grid and up to the commentary box. And Dario, what's the feeling on the grid? It looks very busy down there, and people getting excited.
Yeah, as usual, there's a lot of people that are very excited to be on the grid, and there's a lot of drivers that are very focused down there. Looked like the Frost car was having an issue with the radio and the helmet and everything, so they were working pretty hard on that. But I think Jean-Eric Verne looks really relaxed because he doesn't really know any different right now. What's ahead of him today?
Lucas de Grassi, our championship leader, will be starting in 6th place on the grid, 3 points ahead of Sam Bird, who, as we've just heard, is going to be starting in 18th position. Frank Montani, Karun Chandok, Nico Prost and Jerome D'Ambrosio all on 18 points, and then it's 15 points for Sebastian Buemi. But look at the quick guys who somehow haven't picked up any points. The likes of Bruno Senna, the likes of Stefan Sarazan. Jean-Eric Verne has actually got 3 points already, and that is for pole position. That's why he's in 13th position in the standings. And as far as the team's championship is concerned, it's Audi Sport Aptur at the top, just 1 point clear of Virgin Racing. So those two really going at it. Andretti who led after the first round in Beijing, have slipped to third place, level on points with e.dams, but Dragon Racing are there in fifth place as well. That's actually going to be a pretty tightly contested championship. Sometimes the team's championship can sort of fade into the background, but it's going to be very, very tight here. So the fans are gathering for what is going to be a very, very interesting race, and an overtaking here, Dario, is going to be tricky for these guys.
Yeah, it is going to be tricky. It's a very narrow track, it's got that winding thing to it too. There's no real massive straight braking zones, heavy braking zones, so they're going to have to rely on the car in front making a mistake, which, as we saw in practice and qualifying, is easy to do. So I think we'll see some action that way. The guys were describing it though as more like they're going to have to really, if there's no pace cars, they're going to have to manage the power and then at the end fight. That's what it's coming down to. I think we'll see people though, when they get any chance, they're going to try and get position from the back of the grid. You're going to see your Sam Bird, Bruno Senna, those type of guys. You're really going to see them fighting to push forward. Jerome D'Ambrosio. Let's be honest, Matty Brabham was not shy in Malaysia there. He's going to be coming forward too.
So we saw Jean-Eric Vergne on pole position. When Dario spoke to him on the grid, he didn't know but at that point that he'd won the fan boost, but now we do know, and so it'll be interesting to see where he decides to use it as well, because if you're at the front, surely you could use that as soon as possible to gap yourself a little bit to the rest of the pack.
I think the fan boost is a massive help here around you. If you're going to get that, it's going to help you set up a pass, or in Vergne's case, it will give him an advantage to then be able to back down just a little bit more and manage the power. But is the fan boost going to use more power out of the unit, the battery?
That's the question.
You've got to be careful, but you've got to use it, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. If you win the fan boost, you have to use the fan boost. There's Nelson Piquet Jr. starting second on the grid. There was a bit of a question as to whether he would actually start the race, because he was feeling a little bit ill, complaining of a bit of double vision, but he was well enough to put it second on the grid, so it'll be interesting to see. So Nelson Piquet Jr. will be starting in second position on the grid. ...31 laps of racing about to get underway here in Punta del Este, the beach resort in Uruguay. The grid girls are making their way off the grid. Everyone else is making their way off as well. Just a couple of mechanics are with the drivers for the third round of the FIA Formula E Championship, the race that will last about 45 to 50 minutes. And let's take you down through the grid. On the right-hand side there, on pole position, the man making his Formula E debut this weekend, Jean-Eric Vergne. He's jumped straight into that Andretti car and stuck it on pole position. A wonderful performance. He's also got the fan boost. So he is going to be looking very, very good for a win today, potentially. Nelson Piquet Jr. will be alongside him on the front row of the grid. Really impressive performance from the Brazilian. Third on the grid, Nico Prost, the man who qualified first for the first two races, now qualifies in third, but again, for the third time this season, out-qualifies Sebastian Buemi. Many people's big shout for taking the championship. Jaime Alguersuari will start in fifth place for Virgin. He possibly was a man who could have challenged Vergne for pole position. It didn't quite come together for him. Lucas Di Grassi will start sixth, the championship leader for Audi Sport App. Jarno Trulli will start seventh, another strong qualifying performance from the Italian, just in front of Nick Heidfeld, another man who has fan boost, and he'll be looking to use that to climb up the order. Daniel Abt will start in ninth position in the second of the Abt cars. 10th place for Karun Chandok. Didn't have the best qualifying performance, but still managed to start in the top 10. Last time out, we had Oriol Servia on pole. This time he's in 11th position. The first of the Amlin Aguri cars, Antonio Felix da Costa, the Portuguese racer, will start 12th on the grid. It's 13th for Stefan Sarazan for Venturi, and he's in front of another newcomer, Antonio Garcia, making his Formula E race debut, the Spaniard racing for Team China. Then we've got Salvador Duran, the third of our fan boost winners, the Mexican making his Formula E debut. Michaela Cerruti will start in 16th position after a difficult morning where she endured a crash in free practice. And then we have Jerome D'Ambrosio, Sam Bird, Matty Brabham and Bruno Senna completing the grid. And there is Bruno at the back. They will all pull forward those three grid slots. That'll be their formation lap, and then the race will get underway. And I think this start could be quite interesting with the amount of sand on the circuit on the run down to turn one. If you're three wide, you're going to have at least two cars who are going to have no grip.
I think if you're too wide, you're going to have one car with no grip. Yeah. Honestly, it's the first thing Michael Andretti said to me on the grid. He said, I'm not happy with them starting on that side of the grid.
Really?
It's the dirty side, and it's any small advantage here makes a big difference with competition as close as it is, and with as dirty as this track is, it's a big problem. So Yeah, things could get very interesting down at that first corner.
So, there are the cars on the pre-grid, and in a few moments' time the lights will go green and they will pull forward. And there are the green lights, so they will pull forward from the pre-grid to the race grid to make sure everyone's got their cars up and running. And then 31 laps of racing will be underway.
These drivers are dealing with cold brakes here and very inconsistent brake balance due to the regeneration unit and where they are with the battery life right now. So they've really gone into the unknown into this first corner.
On the right-hand side of the grid, on pole position is Jean-Eric Vergne in the blue and white Andretti car. Alongside him on the front row, the red Team China car of Nelson Piquet. Prost and Buemi are on the second row. We've got all the red lights on, and we go green in Uruguay, and it's a great start. Look at that from Nelson Piquet Jr. Is he into the lead of the race on the run down towards the first corner? Yes, he is. Piquet Jr. leads. Second for Jean-Eric Vergne. It's third for Sebastian Buemi. That inside line really was quicker. Is everyone... That's Piquet Jr., then Vergne, then Buemi, then Prost, then Alguersuari, and I think Nick Heidfeld might have got past Lucas de Grassi in that start as well. As the cars flash through this quick left-hander of turn 12, then into turn 13, through this chicane at 14 and 15.
Really the quick part of the track here, you know, then breaking up for turn 17, it gets a little bit interesting because you're braking and turning at the same time. That's why we saw a lot of incidents this morning. You're slightly off the preferred racing line, you're going to get in trouble there, but everybody looks like they're making it safely through on that first lap.
Yep, up they come towards the final corner of turns 19, and then out onto the start-finish straight to complete the first tour of this 2.8 kilometre circuit. So Piquet Jr. leads across the line, a second clear of Jean-Eric Vergne. Then it's Buemi, Prost, Alguersuari and Heidfeld. Look at the sand being kicked up. That is a real challenge for these drivers. Both, and does that affect your visibility as well?
It will, depending on how many tear-offs you've got in the helmet there on the visor. You're going to be going through those. Just get sandblasted, I mean, literally sandblasted. So you're going to be pulling the tear-offs a lot quicker than you would have before. So the good thing is you've got 50% less chance of getting oil in the visor with no oil in the, really just oil in the gearbox there.
So it looks like as though Bruno Senna's challenging Michele Cerruti for 16th place as they come down towards the hairpin. Has he managed to get past? We'll wait and see. But those are our top three. Oh, it's a really quick, relentless circuit, this, isn't it? As they flash through, here comes Cerruti in a minute, and Senna is past. So Senna has got up into 16th place, past Michele Cerruti. And, and that is a slowing? No, I thought that was a slowing up there for a moment, but it looks as though de Grassi's... No, it is. Daniel Abt is slowing, I think, and dropping down the order. We'll keep an eye on it, but it looks as though one of the Abt cars has run into problems. Yes, there we go. Daniel Abt is dropping down the order, and for the second race in a row, he's run into mechanical problems. He couldn't get off the line at the start, but now his question is, where does he stop that car? Can he make it back to the pits? But Nelson Piquet Jr. leads, half a second clear of Jean-Eric Vergne, and Heidfeld's using his fan boost in the middle of that pack to try and get past Alguersuari. Here he comes in the black and red car, up the inside, and he goes through a bit of a lock-up, just about gets it stopped.
Yeah, and now it looks like the grass is all over the back of Alguersuari there.
And Jarno Trulli's in there as well, as is Karun Chandok. So there was the fan boost used to perfection by Nick Heidfeld, and that gives him some clear air now to try and close down Nico Prost.
It's kind of like a check pass, he passed him and then really stopped the car, and everybody backed up into him. This is what we saw though we saw this in the last round in Malaysia. When you don't get passed by one car, it's generally multiple cars because everybody's so close together.
There's a yellow flag towards the end of the lap, which will be for Daniel Abt's slowing car, if not stopped car. But that has just been rescinded, so hopefully Daniel Abt has made it back into the pit lane. This is the battle for 6th position then we're watching. Jaime Alguersuari in the Virgin car, which is the silver and red machine, followed by the yellow, red and green car of Lucas de Grassi, the championship leader, the Brazilian. And then it's Jarno Trulli and Karun Chandok behind. A little bit of a lock-up on the inside, but nothing too dramatic. Jaime Alguersuari not troubling the apex of 17, but Piquet Jr. still leads, half a second clear of Jean-Eric Vergne up at the front.
And Buemi's just sitting there ahead of Prost. As I say, I think they're going to hold station just for a little bit and see, see how much power they're using, get settled in a bit, and we're going to see the battling when they're a bit more sure of what they've got available for the end of the race. But Jev looks like he's setting up Piquet quite nicely here.
So 78%, 77% in the middle there is the usable power remaining. as we go into the brakes through the chicane, and he is right up behind Nelson Piquet now. And don't forget, Jean-Eric Vergne has the fan boost, so he could deploy that whenever he feels like it to give himself extra power for 5 seconds to try and get past Nelson Piquet Jr. on the exit of the hairpin. Oh, and out! That is Sam Bird. Sam Bird is out. That is such a shame, and that will surely potentially bring out the safety car. That's the exit of turn 1, isn't it? That Sam Bird's gone into the wall. So that will mean that, well, we'll have to wait and see if the safety car is deployed. But meanwhile, Jean-Eric Vergne is still right up behind Nelson Piquet in the battle for the lead of the race. And there is the wrecked car. And, well, I can't imagine that they won't have a safety car for this incident.
Got to throw it. Got to throw the flag here.
And well, here's a look at the replay then, coming into the first corner. And here comes Bird. Oh, all by himself, all by himself.
Oh, again, the problem with these curbs, these sausage curbs, is exactly the thing. You know, yeah, he made a mistake, but when you hit the thing, you've got absolutely no steering. And
safety car is deployed, and so there is a disappointed Sam Bird walking away from his car, and that is a real shame. The safety car deployed then here, which is good news for the teams, because a couple of laps under safety car, and that gives them more usable energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, the safety car, the Qualcomm safety car deployed, and the exit of the pit, so he just waits and rejoins the circuit, and he'll pick up the leader, Nelson Piquet Jr. So let's have a look at the start then, Dario, and to see how Nelson Piquet... Look, he's just wheel spin for the poleman Vergne.
You heard it from Vergne there, but Piquet had very good reaction time too, and really, textbook start. Absolutely textbook. He was on the clean part of the track, but look at the acceleration difference there. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, the whole of the left-hand side of the grid, as we look at it, got the jump on the person alongside. And look at that, Lucas de Grassi almost got 4th place going into the first corner, but Alguersuari got around the outside of him. That was really good racing, and everyone very well behaved through that first turn.
They were. Normally when they try and be well behaved, they crash into each other. At least that's what happened when I tried to be well behaved. But no, yeah, not a bad start there at all. 2x2 right there is asking something. It's such a tight first chicane.
So the big gainer from that start was Bruno Senna. He made up quite a lot of places. This was on board with Vergne. You saw the wheel spin there. He was always going to try and get across to that side as quickly as he could, but it just wasn't quick enough. And look at the plumes of sand coming off. We're right by the beach here in Uruguay, and you can tell, can't you?
Absolutely. You know, just the small amount of time between qualifying and now the race, you're seeing all the sand blown on. It's a pretty windy day. All the sand blows on the track, coats it again. Those first laps have been very, very slippery, and that's probably the worst conditions they will have had to drive in all day.
Yep, so we're behind safety car conditions here in Punta Del Este. This is the view on board with Sam Bird. Watch Bruno Senna, because I think he's going to come rocketing past us in a minute. Oh, that's close with Jerome D'Ambrosio. But somehow Senna went from the back of the grid, rocketing right up the order. In we come into the first corner. That's Michela Cerruti's rain light. We're getting a very nice close-up of. And Bird gets really slowed down. And there's Senna on the right-hand side. Through he goes.
Sam was just trying to be careful there.
Yep, and he lost out to Matty Brabham as well.
Yep, yeah, he got held up by the car in front by Cerruti and trying to be careful, and that was all she wrote, really. He's going to be really mad after the day he's had.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, we heard that he reckoned that something got underneath the car, which was curious. Here's on board with Daniel Abt, and again you see him not getting away ideally, and Karun Chandok is able to come up and cruise past. That's Chandok on the right hand side of the Mahindra car. Under braking we go for turn 1. That's Jarno Trulli in front of us, almost coming to a standstill.
Look at it, look at the dust there. And again, everybody little rub, but that was really about it.
And then Daniel Abt would later on this first lap slow dramatically, and this was Bird. So Bird's coming too hot and then ended up chucking himself onto the curb.
Yeah, well, he didn't. He got on the curb, but he came in too hot, absolutely. But that curb is a launch pad.
Yeah.
Surely that can't be right.
So the Qualcomm safety car will be coming in on this lap, and the racing will be getting back underway. So I think that was only 2 or 3 laps, wasn't it, behind the safety car?
Yep. It's not enough, but it's going to give them some more breathing room. Let's see how early Piquet goes here.
And look at the big winners on this left-hand side. Nick Heidfeld gained 3 places off the start. Piquet Jr. has picked up 1. The biggest loser was Salvador Duran, down in 17th place. So,
I think Brabham's done a great job. Lack of experience, he's moved up 4 places.
Absolutely, up into 15th position. So Jean-Eric Vergne is the man in 2nd place at the moment, as Everyone watches on from up on the gantry, and the racing gets back underway after the safety car period here in Uruguay, and it's Nelson Piquet Jr. leading the way.
Nice jump by Piquet.
Yeah, he's got away. We heard the team radio from Jean-Eric Vergne saying green flag, and we go racing again here. Piquet Jr. leads, Vergne is second, then it's the two yellow and blue e.dams cars of Buemi and Prost. And here's Matty Brabham, a little faint towards the inside, not close enough to make a move. And who's that going straight on? Antonio Felix da Costa. Looked as though there was some debris bouncing through the runoff area there. So I wonder if he had an issue. Contact. He was running with Stefan Sarazam. But we'll have to wait and see what happened to Antonio Felix da Costa there. But meanwhile, it's nose to tail again for the lead of the race. Jaime Alguersuari's having to defend from Lucas Di Grassi as well. There is Alguersuari flashing through, but there's our first place man in the red car, Nelson Piquet Jr. The blue and white Andretti of Jean-Eric Vergne is following him very closely indeed, and Daniel Abt is back in the race. That's good to see, right at the back of the field, but he is having a torturous time so far this season.
Jev is right there, isn't he, with Piquet now? And plus he's got the fan boost, as we've discussed, so that's an ace up his sleeve whenever he chooses to use it.
Absolutely. Into turn 17 they come, around the far end of the circuit. The final corner now. There's Oriol Servia. He's coming through in front of Stefan Sarazan. They're in 10th and 11th positions. And let's see the gap between Piquet Jr. and Jean-Eric Vergne as they come across the start line. It's just under 0.4 of a second on the run down to the first corner, and Buemi's lurking in case anything kicks off, and it's all kicking off here as Lucas Di Grassi attacks Jaime Alguersuari around the outside. Not quite close enough to do it. Oh, that was close, wasn't it? Because the Amlin car of Antonio Felix da Costa have pulled off, but we're on board with our second place man, Jean-Eric Vergne.
Let's see here if he's going to have a move into the far end there, turn 8. Defensive by Piquet.
Yeah, covers the inside line. Oh, a little bit of a nudge.
A little tap there just to wake him up.
And then we've got, it's really line astern, isn't it? So Piquet Jr. doing a good job holding these guys off at the moment. But one small mistake anywhere on this circuit and that'll open the floodgates. And look at these cars, nose to tail all the way through those far chicanes.
And they're fighting them too. This turn 13, big bump right in the middle there, but they're fighting the cars because they're trying to keep the momentum up. They're trying to save energy. Look at that. You tell me they're not driving these cars.
Absolutely.
But they're trying to keep the momentum up, and that is where some of the difficulties coming in, and we saw them in accidents this morning, just with slight mistakes. Incredibly low surface grip here in Uruguay.
This is the third round of the FIA Formula E Championship, as Jean-Eric Vergne comes out onto the start-finish straight again.
Energy level.
139. Okay, so that was Jean-Eric Vergne giving the reading to his team about what his energy level is, as Lucas Di Grassi attacks again. So they asked, what's your energy level? He gave the answer, and they carry on fighting, but they only do that down the straights, otherwise drivers get angry.
Some drivers do, apparently. I wonder if there's an issue with the telemetry there, that they're not getting the feedback in the Andretti garage if they're asking him for that information. Michael Andretti, JF Thorman there.
Again, going defensive is Nelson Piquet Jr. You're not going to get around the outside there, Monsieur Vergne.
Might open yourself up to third place Buemi as well, so need to be very careful with that.
Lucas Di Grassi has been told to give back the position.
Sector 2, double yellow, sector 2.
So that's double yellows in sector 2. Again, that was Jean-Eric Vergne's radio being told, and that's the recovery of Antonio Felix da Costa's car. But yes, so as they flash through.
5 minutes issue with this fan boost.
Fan boost not working? Is that what he said?
We are working on it.
Okay, so they're working on it. They appear to have a problem at Andretti with using the fan boost, and the safety car has been deployed again.
Safety car.
So Jean-Eric Vergne.
Save energy.
This is going to put them over the limit of laps, and now from now on, flat out.
I mean, this issue is so slow. I need to pass him. I'm not crap up in the straight. So find the issue. Do something, please.
He wants it fixed.
Getting a little bit stressed now, isn't he? And there's the Qualcomm safety car deployed again to recover Antonio Felix da Costa's car. And it must be frustrating to be right behind the race leader, knowing you've got this boost, but for some reason your car's not doing it.
Yeah, and you know, he sounds like he's been pretty unreasonable there, but trust me, when you're behind the wheel, you're sitting there thinking, it sounds perfectly reasonable. You're struggling, you're fighting for every 10th of a second, and you just want it fixed. And you know, that's when I think some experience comes in. Sometimes you're a bit calmer.
So this is a look at Lucas de Grassi going around the outside of Alguersuari, and he then skipped across the chicane and filtered in behind Alguersuari. So I'm not 100% sure, but then the message on the screens was saying you've got to give that position back. But he didn't actually make the position because Alguersuari stayed in front. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. I was
confused by that one too.
There. But the safety car will be coming in this lap, so they have managed to recover the Amlin car of that man, Antonio Felix da Costa, and he's managing to walk back up the pit lane now, and a very short race for the Portuguese driver. So the safety car will be coming in this lap, and then we'll be getting racing going again, and all this helps and pushes the pit stops just a little bit later. And pit stop strategy is something that is going to get more and more interesting, I think.
Watch for Piquet trying to get the jump again here.
But we have to do the fastest lap on the other car, the good car. So I prefer to save energy here and then have all the time to push on the second car.
We'll
so this you have to check. Tell me.
That's Daniel Abt.
You have enough energy to do 2 laps with this car and 2 laps with the other car.
So the safety car comes in and we get racing back underway here in Uruguay with Nelson Piquet Jr. leading the way, just Piquet Jr. leading the way, just in front of Jean-Eric Vergne. Then it's the 2 e.dams cars of Buemi and Prost. Lucas de Grassi is desperate to get past Jaime Alguersuari in front of him, but is still just about unable to do so. Then it's Jarno Trulli and Karun Chandok with Oriol Servia behind. And that was interesting, that little bit of radio we heard then, I think was Daniel Abt saying, I want to do, their plan is to do the fastest lap of the race and get 2 points for it. And he's saying, I don't really like this car. I want to do my fastest lap in the other car. Can I just come in and change, please?
We heard that earlier, didn't we, today? One of the guys was saying, look, I don't like this car quite as much. Was Alguersuari? He didn't like his car. He said, no, the other car's much better. And you'll always get that. There's always slight differences car to car, and there's one you like just a little better than the other.
And Antonio Garcia could be under a bit of pressure there, but we look back to the lead of the race. Nelson Piquet Jr. 4/10 of a second clear of Jean-Eric Vergne through the right-hander of 13.
Look at them
see them moving.
I mean, that's what we've been asking for. Cars sliding around a little bit. That's they've been saying that's a proper corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen it on the onboard telemetry. The little lifts, the little confidence lifts that the drivers are doing.
And they're telling everybody they're flat.
Yeah, exactly. So into the final corner, we are on lap 11 of 31, and look how close Jean-Eric Vergne is to the back of Nelson Piquet Jr. Out onto the start-finish straight again, and across the line.
Piquet is definitely slowing him down now, there's no doubt. He's going to, I would say, just sit there for a little while longer, get that energy ready, and then make that move.
Matty Brabham set the fastest second sector of anyone on that last lap. He's really on a mission in the second Andretti car, but we go on board with Jean-Eric Vergne, so close to the back of Nelson Piquet Jr. And Jr. knows it, so he covers the inside line on the way down towards the hairpin. As we'll see here, he'll sit in the middle of the circuit. Vergne thinks about it, but he's not close enough.
He waited for the move, didn't he? He waited for Vergne to make the move and then came over to block.
So, Vergne chasing Piquet Jr. Then in third place it's still Sebastian Buemi. In fourth place it's still Nico Prost. The 2 e.dams cars running nose to tail, and we haven't seen a great amount of overtaking just yet, but as you were saying earlier, Dario, the teams are saying we've just got to sort of get the race done. Once we know we've got enough energy, then we can fight in the closing stages.
Then the fight will start, absolutely. Did you see Chandok there got a little bit sideways right in the middle of that chicane? If you overcommit with one of these cars with all that weight in the back of the car, it gets pretty eventful, and we'll see that, I think, more towards the end as well, when they start trying to push hard and harder through these chicanes.
Energy level.
Yeah, we're going to look out.
And oh, look at that, Sarrazin going through.
6-9.
And that's allowing Matty Brabham to come through. We're hearing Jean-Eric Vergne on the team radio telling his energy level. Oh, that's rude on Matty Brabham.
Is that Sarrazin?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not cool.
And that allows Oriol Servia up the inside to take 10th position away from Matty Brabham, the final point scoring position. Another interesting thing, when we just saw the lower third of the positions, we also saw the usable energy left, and the top two didn't have much usable energy at all. They were down at 28%, a good sort of 5 or 6% less usable energy. And look at that, Jean-Eric Verne is through into the lead of the race. It must have been down at the hairpin that Verne made the pass. Nelson Piquet Jr. drops to second place.
23%. Yeah, these guys they're not messing around, are they? No. They're using that energy up, and you're going to have to go. You're going to have to pay for it at some point. You've only got so much energy to use.
So Jean-Eric Verne's been told he's going to pit in 2 laps, and look at him now sprinting clear. Does this put the pressure on Sebastian Buemi to, oh, here's a look at the replay then, lines him up, and this time Piquet doesn't really defend.
I think he got him early enough. He'd set him up, was so much quicker at that point. And maybe Piquet just thought, yeah, okay, we got a yellow flag at sector 15 there.
Karun Chandhok has come into the pits, but meanwhile Jean-Eric Verne again gets the inside line on the run down into the hairpin and just outbreaks him. Good move from the Frenchman, and he's into the lead of the 3rd round of the FIA Formula E Championship. And whoa, lockups everywhere on the way down into the first corner because Buemi knows Verne's going to get away now.
Every corner he's held up now by Piquet. Verne knows, Buemi knows that he's in trouble, so he's got to make a big move here. And Verne is just starting to ache away. But as we've said, he's using energy. Is he using too much? Has he learned enough about the technique of driving one of these Formula E cars quickly over a long race? He certainly figured it out in one lap.
Verne's got 17%, and Buemi, in theory, has 29%, according to the telemetry that we're fed directly from the cars. So that is very, very interesting, and you might absolutely be right that it's a different skill of being massively quick and being massively efficient.
Yeah, we saw Sam Bird do it last week. He wasn't the fastest over 1 lap, but the hell was he quick in the race.
Oh, Sarrazin and Trulli just went side by side into 13. They've both come out unscathed.
That was brave.
With Trulli still in 8th place. But Sarrazin has now set the fastest lap of anyone.
He's still got to wave jello here.
That's because Daniel Abt has stopped on the circuit there.
That's going to be a safety car, I would say.
They're probably just waiting to see if he can get the car going again.
I wonder if they'll leave...
there he goes.
Yep. I was just going to say, I wonder if they would leave Jean-Eric Verne out for a while until that happens. So the safety car.
Across the line then comes Verne, and they're lapping Karun Chandhok. So Chandhok's run into trouble. Here's the battle for second place. Massive lockup from Buemi. Is he going to get that stopped in time? No, he has to go across the runoff. So does Nelson Piquet Jr. So I think that's fair now.
Well, can you say commitment?
Exactly. But so Buemi is absolutely desperate to get through. So what has happened to Chandhok? He's suddenly dropped down to 17th place. So Chandhok has gone missing, but Verne's down to 9% usable energy compared to sort of early 20s for the more experienced drivers.
He's putting himself in a hole here, and he's going to have to, at some point, he's going to have to do that.
Unless it's a tactic about... That was French.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're hearing Piquet and Buemi's radio, and so that was Sebastian Buemi's radio. Our viewers in France will have figured it out. Here's the lockup from Buemi.
Buemi in the blue e.dams car there, with the front wheels locked. He's easy to spot. And then they both just, get back on it.
And that incident is under investigation by the stewards, but I mean, it seemed to just be fair enough, really. Buemi didn't make the pass, and so Piquet Jr. was prepared to go back through.
Yeah.
But anyway, oh, and look at that. Piquet Jr. is behind both the e.dams cars now. And Sarrazin finally gets past Jarno Trulli. Sarrazin up into 8th place. Race leader in the pits. Jean-Eric Verne is in the pits now. Meanwhile, Jarno Trulli is getting a little bit angry with Stefan Sarrazin, who is looking feisty out there today.
Sarrazin just keeps driving people at the wall. It's not really on, is it? I mean, we saw Trulli drive one of the guys out last week. Here's the pit stop.
So Jean-Eric Verne in.
This is his first one of these pit stops under pressure here. First time he's ever done it, so easier to make a mistake.
And now Matty Brabham has got past Jarno Trulli as well and is up into what will be essentially 9th position, I think. Oriol Servia comes into the pits.
Properly impressed with Matty Brabham today.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job coming from the back of the field and climbing up the order. Nelson Piquet Jr. needs to pit soon. You can see there he's got 6% of usable power remaining. And there is a minimum. Oh, and off goes Sarrazin. Off goes Sarrazin into the wall. It looked as though it might have been Jarno Trulli that he was battling with. Those two had fallen out a couple of laps ago.
He might have got some help there.
And now, surely everyone's going to dive into the pits if they know what's good for them, because presumably the safety car will come out. Here we go. Oh, it's Matty Brabham, but he's ended up on the curbs himself, hasn't he?
Well, it looks like Sarrazin missed the corner, had to slow down to avoid doing what Sam Bird did earlier, and Matty Brabham's just helped him and finish it, but it looked like Verne...
Oh, here we go.
It looks like
Sarrazin. Got out of shape.
He's already in trouble. The car was already broken. So Yeah, he was being very, very aggressive on the defence, wasn't he?
Oh, and look at that, the wall getting hit as well. Was that Bruno Senna clouting the wall?
Yeah.
So Bruno Senna could be in trouble too. Sarrazin is out of the race, and the safety car, unsurprisingly, is deployed. Everyone there is Senna.
Broken.
I think he might have trouble stopping that.
I think he swapped cars though. To get it stopped. Time for a pit stop.
Yeah. And so Senna comes into the pits.
Took plenty of time to stop it. No, we can swap cars.
Oh yeah, you can swap cars.
Yeah.
Very good point.
That was good timing.
Yeah, exactly. That was why he did it. So there is Antonio Garcia swapping over. And so everyone diving into the pits.
So Garcia's used to swapping drivers, but not necessarily cars, with the Corvette that he races in America.
Oh, he's just punched his mechanic in the face there. That was a good one. He tried to get his hands out of the way for the buckles to be done up. But there is Stefan Sarrazin out of the race in his Venturi car.
Normally it's the other way around. Normally it's a mechanic punching the driver.
So where will these guys come out compared to... Oh, this could be bad news for Jean-Eric Vergne, because he's having to lap the track at safety car speed, whilst the rest of them can go as fast as possible. There is Vergne going straight across at turn 1. And did that keep him the lead of the race by going straight across there?
I thought I saw cars ahead of him, but is that allowed?
So I think Buemi has rejoined in the lead of this one, by the looks of it, and then Jean-Eric Vergne, then Piquet Jr., then Nico Prost is how it looked. That's how the order looked to me. And yeah, here we go then. Or is that Heidfeld in the lead? Heidfeld's got out in the lead. He's made his pit stop and has absolutely nailed the pit stop, as they did in Beijing. And he's first. It's second for Buemi, third for Jean-Eric Vergne, fourth for Nelson Piquet Jr., fifth for Nico Prost. So Heidfeld leads the race.
Heidfeld leading. Vergne has got less energy to use though. He's got at least a lap less energy to use in this next portion. So he's going to have to manage it more. And he's at a disadvantage right now. And potentially they may be able to activate the fan boost in this car. It might have been a problem with the other car. There's a look at the time in pits. Heidfeld did it 1 minute exactly. And so that's 60 seconds. So was that too quick is going to be the question. Everyone else doing it 1:06 roughly. But Heidfeld with a very quick pit stop. Vergne's over 5% in the hole already on amount of power, amount of energy still to use. It
seemed as though that strategy was gambling on position. So 64 seconds was the limit for pit limit. So Heidfeld may have been too quick in the pits, and that's why he's ended up in that scenario. This is a replay of Bruno Senna going side by side and making a move. And oh, this is where it all went wrong for him.
Not Bruno's fault at all, was it?
What can you do?
I think he did well not to damage it. Look at him hanging on to it there when it's crabbing.
Still flooring it, isn't he?
Good lad.
And that's it, drifted through 13.
Lovely.
So the cars are making their way around behind the safety car. Safety car still out.
I think we need the commentary booth up there.
Yeah, I'd say so. Or just the floor below.
Yeah, just you know, with better view, get the sea breeze going on.
So on board with Nick Heidfeld. And he's been told that he has a penalty by his team over the team radio.
Obviously, they're going to go as slow as possible right now, save as much energy for when it actually counts. But yeah, that's something they tried in Beijing. They got it by the skin of their teeth, and it sounds like they've gone a little too far this time.
So we'll have to wait for confirmation of what the penalty is. But it looks as though he has been in the pits for too short an amount of time. And that's why he is in the lead, but this is all the team radio we're getting at the moment.
Wait till you have a gap behind you to use fan boost. Okay, look, it's still 1.4.
Has everybody in front of me stopped?
Mais tout à l'heure en pit, j'ai pas eu le pit-in, le top du pit-in.
Ouais, à la radio, j'y suis pour rien. J'ai bien appuyé.
Yes. Matt, please speak louder. I can't hear you.
I reckon the end of the race will be a flat out, because my target's already 1.9 and it will go up.
Energy left 26.8. This was much better, so whatever you did to your microphone, it's what you should be doing.
So that was very interesting to hear all of the teams out there all being told different things, and all of them giving back energy readings.
I picked up Jean-Eric Vergne saying, is everybody ahead pitted? Yeah. That's that old thing of, how'd that happen?
But he is essentially then in second place, because we believe that Nick Heidfeld has been given a penalty. It's not official yet on the timing screens, but we heard it over team radio being told that he would be given a penalty. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
Truly got back ahead of Brabham.
Yeah, absolutely right. So the order, well, you can see it on the left-hand side of the screen there. We believe Heidfeld has a penalty, so Buemi, Verne, Piquet Jr. will be the top three. Prost, De Grassi, D'Ambrosio. Good work from Jerome D'Ambrosio.
Nice. Yep.
He started 17th on the grid, and he's now in, effectively, 6th position. The safety car will be in this lap.
I still think Verne's quick enough to win it. Here we go. Heidfeld's gone a lot earlier.
So, into the pits comes the safety car, and the race gets back underway here in Uruguay. Nick Heidfeld leads, but he is going to be given a penalty, we believe, for using too much of his available power. Meanwhile, his pit stop is still being investigated. So he's in all sorts of trouble at the moment, but as it stands, he leads the race. We haven't heard official confirmation of the penalty yet. Sebastian Buemi's in second position. Third is Jean-Eric Verne. Fourth is Nelson Piquet Jr. And that's Daniel Abt in the red, green and yellow car, just getting out of everyone's way because he's 2 laps down. So this is Bruno Senna, who amazingly has hit the wall, wrecked his rear suspension, but he's still in the race.
You've got to love the 2-car rule at this point. Certainly Senna does anyway. There's a drive-through penalty for Heidfeld coming up.
Yeah, and so he has been given a drive-through penalty, Nick Heidfeld. It's now official, car number 23, and we believe that's for using too much of his available power. That's not for the pit stop. The pit stop is still under investigation, so he may well end up with a second penalty before too long. Everyone's starting to queue up a little bit behind Jerome D'Ambrosio in 7th position as that battle rages through the chicane.
He's done a hell of a job to get there, but it looks like he's really holding Trulli up right now, doesn't he?
Yeah, and here comes Trulli looking towards the inside, towards 17. This is ambitious, Jarno.
That's a brave move.
Oh, not really sure what he thought he was going to achieve.
Watch for Brabham now. Watch for Brabham.
Will we see Brabham appear on the left-hand side? Not quite.
I think you saw Trulli's experience and backing him up just at the right point to get the run through the corner.
So Heidfeld is in the pits now, serving his drive-through penalty, which means there he is on the left-hand side, which means Sebastian Buemi is in the lead of the race. Second place is Jean-Eric Verne, 1.2 seconds back. Nelson Piquet Jr. is third. Nico Prost is fourth. Lucas de Grassi is fifth. You can see these standings on the left-hand side there.
That's a long penalty at 50 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
It's got to feel like a day going down there.
And he comes out right next to Antonio Garcia, but he has to bail out of that one. So that's behind Garcia. So that's 14th place now for Nick Heidfeld. What a shame, because it was looking very strong for him, but if you don't follow the rules, you're going to get a penalty. Nico Prost has just done the fastest first sector of anyone. His usable power, though, and Verne is down at 77%, so he may have the pace to win it, but I don't know if he's got the energy to. Salvador Duran in the pits with problems for him.
Yeah. Salvador's had a tough baptism today, and he got the fan boost, but that's, I think, probably the only good thing that's happened. he's had a tough one.
So there's our race leader, Sebastian Buemi. Second place in the blue and white Andretti car is Jean-Eric Verne. Third place is the red Team China car, and Jarno Trulli is
that Michaela or was that Jarno?
Oh, sorry, that was Michaela Cheruti. My apologies, in front of Oriol Servia in their battle over 11th position. It's the other Trulli and Dragon cars that are battling further up the road here. And that's D'Ambrosio in the silver and black Dragon car in front of Trulli. And then Matty Brabham in the blue and white Andretti car. Out of the pits comes the Amlin car of Salvador Duran back in the race.
In his position, he's got to just get as many laps as possible. Learn how to drive these cars and learn how to understand them. And he just needs laps. He's been out of the car for a long time.
And there is the a drive-through penalty for car number 8. So that's Nico Prost. Nico Prost has just been given a drive-through penalty for using too much power and using more. They have a limit of how much power you're allowed to use.
150 kilowatts, isn't it?
Absolutely, at any one time. So that's the thing. So you've got your maximum power, which is 150 kilowatts, and then you've got your usable energy over the course of the race. So it's sort of, if you want, it's horsepower and tank size.
What they don't want happening is the car going to zero, running out of fuel and stopping dead in front of somebody else and causing a big issue, which is why they have that sort of bit of gap.
Yeah. Exactly. But this is for using more than the allowed power in a straight line. So that's going to be a drive-through penalty for Nico Prost. Meanwhile, Daniel Abt has set the fastest lap of the race, which means he will pick up 2 points if that stays like that for the remaining 10 laps or so.
Matty Brabham getting defensive there.
Yep, he's coming under a lot of pressure from Jaime Alguersuari over 8th position. And Matty Brabham started this race in 19th place and is now up into 8th position. So it's a very, very good drive from Matty Brabham as well. But Buemi leads, Verne second, Piquet Jr. third. Nico Prost is fourth, but he has a drive-through penalty. We're on board now with Serbia.
I tell you, Cerruti's impressed me today. Michele Cerruti's done a good job coming up through the field. Started near the back, took the nose off the car this morning early, but she's running quite well right now.
Yep, sitting in 11th position at the moment, behind Bruno Senna, just outside of the points. As we go on board with Serbia, almost nosing into each other as they come around the hairpin. And through they flash, through the chicane.
We talk about keeping the momentum up. By doing that, though, you set the car up a certain way, so when the car in front of you is a little bit slower, they tend to stop and start a bit more. It makes it more difficult to pass if you've got the car set up for that sort of carrying momentum, carrying mid-corner, speed a bit through, and you'll see that some of the guys struggling with that today a little bit.
This is Serbia then on board, trying to get past Michele Cerruti for 11th position. A little feint towards the inside from Serbia in the Dragon car. And, oh, it's a drive-through penalty for Michele Cerruti, so she will have to come into the pits for breaking the speed limit. And that's a real shame for her, because we were just saying how... well, you've done it again, Dario. We were just saying what a good job she's doing, and now she's going to have to come in for a drive-through penalty. Meanwhile, Nick Heidfeld is trying to recover and get past Antonio Garcia for 13th place. There's battles all over the place, non-stop, but Sebastian Buemi is the man leading for the e.dams team, and he has got a 2-second advantage over Jean-Eric Verne in second place.
Yeah, I wonder how... I'd love to see how much power that Verne's got left. How much usable power, just to see if he's managed to bring that situation a bit more under control.
On board we go with Nick Heidfeld, down into the hairpin, throws it up the inside. Job done for Heidfeld. He moves up past Antonio Garcia and into 13th place.
Textbook pass. Textbook right there. Let's see it. He'll pull away now. He's been running some very good laps.
He'll be on the back of Oriol Servia before too long. And we are on lap 22 out of 31, so 9 laps to go here in Punta del Este in Uruguay, the third round of the FIA Formula E Championship. Now, his usable power remaining in the lower third, and Jean-Eric Verne has almost 10% less than Sebastian Buemi in the lead of the race and the guys around him. As Nico Prost comes into the pits now to serve his drive-through penalty, Serbia is attacking Michele Cerruti into the final corner. That's Cerruti going into the pits to serve her drive-through penalty. So
Serbia was getting held up badly there. You'll see that now going forward he's going to gain some serious lap time, and he's really got to try and get catching up with Senna, because he's a fair bit down the road. 12 seconds back now.
Out comes Nico Prost, just behind Antonio Felix. No, sorry, that's the other Amlin car of Salvador Duran. So I think Nico Prost has come out just behind Senna in 10th position. So Senna's 9th, Prost is 10th, and now Serbia is up into 11th place now that Michele Cerruti served her drive-through penalty.
Prost in that yellow e.dams car, he's got the pace. Yeah, he's just going to clear off now. He's going to try. He'll be up on the gearbox of the car in front of him. Alguersuari fairly quickly here, I would say.
Yep, through he comes, and he's past Salvador Duran, who is running a lap down. 3 retirements: Stefan Sarazan, Antonio Felix da Costa, and Sam Bird. And Lucas Di Grassi has just set the fastest first sector of anyone, and a very good middle sector as well, and is starting to close in on Nelson Piquet Jr. in the battle for 3rd position. So Lucas Di Grassi will be one to keep an eye on in the coming laps. Meanwhile, Heidfeld is the next man to go on the attack, and it's Oriol Servia that he's behind. And the fastest lap of the race for Lucas Di Grassi, so he takes that away from his teammate Daniel Abt, and Di Grassi closes the gap to 1.1 seconds to Nelson Piquet Jr. in front of him. There is the Dragon team watching on as their man Oriol Servia is defending from Nick Heidfeld down into turn 1. Now here we go, what's this? This is Trulli, Matty Brabham and Jaime Alguersuari and Bruno Senna all in a queue over ultimately 6th position.
We have a Trulli train.
We certainly do, and actually initially it was a D'Ambrosio train, but he seems to have got the hammer down a little bit now and gapped these guys. He's got a 1.2 second advantage.
Yeah, he's done a great job again. Another car coming from the back to the front, and the pace is so close here. And as I say, one mistake and you're losing 1 or 2 spots, 2 or 3 spots. You're not losing one.
You've done it again.
No.
Just said how good D'Ambrosio's doing. Drive-through penalty for car 7 for not respecting the pit stop time, and also a drive-through penalty, as we thought, for Nick Heidfeld. He went through the pits too quickly. D'Ambrosio did it in 1 minute 3 seconds, and the gap is 1 minute 4 seconds. So D'Ambrosio, drive-through penalty. As for Nick Heidfeld, in goes D'Ambrosio there. So that means Trulli's up to 5th.
Drivers to start paying me not to talk about them in a positive manner.
There you can see the confirmation from race control. So our 4 drivers all doing battle now over 5th position. De Grassi is now less than a second behind Nelson Piquet Jr. But Piquet Jr. has been told, you've got to get on it, mate, because you're getting closed in on. Jean-Eric Vergne is only 0.8 of a second behind Sebastian Buemi now, and is 0.6 of a second a lap quicker, and has gone fastest of anyone in the first sector. So the battle for the lead is kicking off here in Uruguay in Punta del Este. We go on board with Jaime Alguersuari in 7th place. Goodness me, it's a bit action-packed, this, isn't it?
It's all happening. Alguersuari's running almost 150, almost full power there. If he's running a little bit off of it, it's minor. Look at them sliding through there. Here we go, through this 12-13 section. This is my favourite section of the track, this 13, corner 13 here. Watch the car in front, look at it, sliding. Whoa. Alguersuari looks like he's got some serious understeer in that thing through there.
Matty Brabham is really driving well, and he's right up the back of Jarno Trulli in the battle for 5th position. He's trying to get past, but he's having to go on the sandy line on the run down to 17. That was an ambitious one from Matty Brabham.
This is where Matty Brabham needs to have a little patience. Young driver, not with a lot of experience, needs to just stay a little calm, because he's got the car, he's got the pace to pass Trulli, but if he gets a little excited, makes a mistake, it's all for nothing, because he's driven a really wonderful race today so far.
5 laps to go here in Uruguay. Lap 27 of 31. This is the queue over 5th place. The battle for the lead of the race is down to 0.8 of a second. There's Lucas de Grassi, who is less than a second behind Nelson Piquet Jr. in front of him. So as you said at the start, Dario, it's all going to kick off towards the end. But look how little usable power Vergne has there. 29%. That means he's only got 29% of usable power left, compared to Buemi's 38%. So surely Buemi can turn it up, unless, okay, he's got that little energy, but unless that's enough for him to do 5 laps.
I wish I could do the maths quickly enough. Can I phone a friend? It was never my strong point.
That's why you're in the commentary box and not on the Andretti pit wall, probably.
Aye, that's probably right.
So 5 laps to go, and this is the 1st and 2nd place battle. Oh, and that's Matty Brabham. That's Matty Brabham. He's got his heads in his hands, his thumbs up saying I'm okay, but he can't believe what has happened, because he was having a superb race right behind Jarno Trulli for 5th position, and now he's out.
Hopefully they can clean this wreck up here. Look, you can see the marks. Hopefully they clean this wreck up so we can get going again here.
Yeah, safety car has been deployed with 4 laps to go, and this will be, well, surely now they can go max to the finish.
They'll go max to the finish. The good news is the safety car this time caught the leader straight away.
Now here's what happens to Matty Brabham. Oh, he's lost it on the way in, and this is going to hurt.
Just overcommitted. The wheels are already broken. Look, wasn't that big a crash, but it had already broken that hitting the curb, which is the same thing that happened to Sarazan with these sausage curbs. Saying that was a fair front impact.
Yeah. And look at that. It's immediate reaction. What has happened here? Here's going to be the angle from Jaime Alguersuari. Now Alguersuari must have done a good job to avoid this, actually.
Yeah, just frustration, I think. We're stuck behind Trulli. Oh yeah. Just locked the rears. Did you see this? Got it oversteering just a little bit on the way in.
So a real shame for the Andretti squad, but their other car is still running in 2nd place at the moment. Oh, Brabham.
Did you ever pick those gloves up though?
Yeah, he'll need them. He'll need them.
Cheap, yeah. He's so mad. I mean, you don't want to minimise this. It's such, he was having such a good race there. Just a little patience. That's where an experienced guy like Trulli can really sucker you into making a mistake, because he just frustrates you. And we've seen guys in Formula 1 do it, and we've seen a young driver today like Matty Brabham do it, but his pace was first class.
And how does Michael Andretti approach him after this? Is this a, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have crashed the car, you fool, or is this a unlucky, you know?
Michael 15 years ago would have done that. Michael now will put his arm around him and say, what have you learned from that? Did you see what he did? Did you see how he frustrated you? And that will be it. And hopefully if Matty's smart, which I believe he is, he'll learn from it.
Now you can see how much power they've got left, and when we go racing again, we might only have 2 or 3 laps of racing to go. Well, it won't be 3, it might be 2 laps of racing remaining. And so they will be able to go flat out to the end of this race, hopefully, and that will be great news. And they come through the final corner. Safety car still out, but hopefully the car is being cleared quickly.
That was the last thing Buemi wanted to see, was that safety car, because he knew that Jeff was in a bit of a hole as far as usable power, and he had not a massive gap, he had a wee gap. Now he's right with him. And has Jeff used the fan boost?
No, I don't believe he has. So we'll wait and see.
He might have played a blinder here,
because he couldn't use it. He was having a problem with his first car, wasn't he? So hopefully they've got that sorted in time.
I will say Buemi is one of the most aggressive guys to pass. So yeah, could be in for some fireworks here, which is good.
Yeah, let's hope so. We've got 3 laps to go. Buemi has made up 3 places. Look at that, Bruno Senna's up into 7th place. He's snuck his way up there, and he's gained up 13 places to be up in 7th position. That's a very strong performance.
Just thinking about championship for a second, Sam Burge has obviously had a hit with it.
Safety car in this lap, get packed up with Buemi.
So that is Jean-Eric Vergne being told the safety car's in this lap. Get right up behind Sebastian Buemi, because now's your time to shine, monsieur.
Is Buemi going to go in turn 17, turn 18? Is he going to wait a little bit?
Oh, Matty.
Oh, God. You just feel for him.
Yeah.
I've sat there, I've been that soldier.
So the safety car in this lap, and there's the Andretti car being hoisted spectacularly away. What will Buemi decide to do? How will he try and decide this restart? If Jean-Eric Vergne can have a good restart here, that will be another string in his bow when it comes to an IndyCar drive. But
got to let the safety car get far enough ahead though, haven't you?
The nerves on the pit wall for Alain Prost. They saw the race disappear from the e.dams team in Beijing. Are they about to see it disappear here in Punta Del Este? The 3rd round of the Formula E Championship is about to resume with a 2-lap dash to the finish.
Yeah, we don't want to see these guys, they want to see this. Yeah, here we go.
So Sebastian Buemi floors it as the safety car comes in, and Jean-Eric Vergne is right with him as they come out onto the start-finish straight. 2 ex-Toro Rosso drivers, and Vergne is using his fan boost as they come across the line, but I would have thought he would have used that later. Well, oh, and Buemi's out of shape. Does he keep that on the circuit? Coming through the first corner, where's Buemi? Did he cut the corner?
Did he shortcut? Doubtful.
We'll have to wait and see. And look at that, Jean-Eric Vergne knows that Buemi's rattled.
He'll
Down
set
they
him
come
up here.
Towards the second chicane, and Buemi's going again. He must have some sort of brake problem or regen issues.
Surely he's got to give that place back. Surely he's got to do that. You can't just sort of straight line it.
Well, through the hairpin they come. We're still open to...
If he didn't cut the chicane.
They need to make a quick decision here, because we don't want the result in doubt after the checker, do we?
And that was Jean-Eric Vergne. We just heard there complaining that Buemi's cutting the chicane, and well, he might complain. Nelson Piquet Jr. is there.
Got a problem.
Oh, slowing down. And Jean-Eric Vergne. Jean-Eric Vergne is slowing, and he is not going to finish this race, which surely means Buemi's going to take victory. He'll crawl back into the pit lane.
How cruel is that?
So that means Sebastian Buemi is leading the way, coming through the final corner to start the final lap of the race.
Healthy lead.
It's not the way that they want to win, but they'll take it if possible. Onto the final lap now then comes Sebastian Buemi. The yellow flag is out for the car down there of Jean-Eric Vergne, but what a stunning debut weekend it's been for him nevertheless. Nelson Piquet Jr. 2nd, Lucas de Grassi is 3rd then, 4th is Jarno Trulli, but he's got Jaime Alguersuari right up behind him. Bruno Senna is now in 6th position, Nico Prost 7th, D'Ambrosio, Servia and Garcia completing the top 10. We're on the final lap of the race in what has been a non-stop action-packed Formula E race here in Punta del Este in Uruguay, and our e.dams about to take their first victory in Formula E.
He needs to be careful here, not shortcut any more chicanes, because he doesn't want to give them an excuse to give him any kind of penalty.
Through turns 10 and 11 comes Buemi. Piquet Jr. is following him. De Grassi's not far behind, but none of them are going to be close enough to make a move, I don't think. Trulli's the only man under real pressure in that 4th position at the moment. And there is the car of Jean-Eric Vergne, parked off at the side of the road, and the e.dams team are itching to celebrate, but they can't do it just yet. A couple more corners to go.
No, they don't want to do that. They don't want to jinx it.
down into the final court. Look at that, Piquet's been very quick in these closing stages. Heifeld's using his fan boost further back in the pack. That'll be to try and get past Garcia. But through the final corner comes Sebastian Buemi. He's got Nelson Piquet Jr. right up behind him, but it's victory for Sebastian Buemi and e.dams in the third round of Formula E.
Finally, Buemi has fulfilled his potential in Formula E.
Delight over the radio.
J'ai beaucoup bloqué les roues arrière, désolé, mais merci beaucoup. C'était top. La voiture était très bien. Le restart pas terrible, mais la voiture était très bien. Merci beaucoup.
You know, having given 2 races to the rest of the field and showing up here and doing the job he did. Fantastic.
So, an absolutely ecstatic Sebastian Buemi takes victory in the third round of the Formula E Championship. Piquet Jr. second, De Grassi third. And the e.dams team, who were one of the front runners coming into this weekend, they've taken 2 of 3 pole positions. Nico Prost led for, well, every lap he led in Beijing except for the final corner. But now finally they have the victory.
And a 2-3 for the Brazilian guys there. It's good to see so close to home.
Yep, absolutely. And there's Jean-Paul Driot and Alain Prost, the co-founders of the e.dams team.
It's so interesting to watch. These guys will celebrate for about an hour now, and then I'll be like, okay, get ready for Argentina. We've got a couple of weeks off holiday, and then time to go back to work.
Yep.
I think Driot seems nervous about something.
I think that might have been him being asked for an interview, and he said, I'll do it a little bit later, potentially. So
I wonder if he just wants to make sure everything's okay with the power used and all that kind of stuff. Daniel Abt got the fastest lap, 18.4.
So when Jean-Eric Vergne retired from this race, we were open to his team radio, and apologies if he, in the heat of losing a race victory, may have said some unpleasant English words that he's learnt in his time in Toro Rosso, potentially. Well, no, that wouldn't make sense.
Racing driver swears.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it doesn't happen.
He learnt it in his time in British F3, but there are our victors making their way back around and into the paddock, and you can hear the round of applause from all the fans that have lined the grandstands. An absolute sellout here in Uruguay. It's been fantastically well received. There's a real buzz around the place, and it has been fantastic to see. But Jean-Eric Vergne, great to know what happened to him. You know, like what was it? Did he just, because they run, you know, an amount of usable energy so that you don't just stop. So he didn't run out of power. It must have been a problem.
Yeah, something's gone wrong, hasn't it, unfortunately. That's what's going to happen sometimes with this new technology. Everything here is new, and everybody's got the same stuff, yeah, and it's the first year, and everybody in Formula E, you can see them, they're trying to prove everything. And so in the future, everybody can start building their own power plants, should they wish, own batteries, all that kind of stuff. And then you're going to see the performance of the cars, in my opinion, really, really step up.
Absolutely. Well, Alejandro Agag, the CEO of Formula E, said that he's expecting between 6 and 8 powertrain manufacturers to come on board, and not all engine manufacturers, potentially sort of technological companies and that sort of thing, not necessarily just car manufacturers. But there are our top 3, and there is our race winner, Sebastian Buemi, about to climb out of the car. World Endurance Champion a couple of weeks ago, and now he's a race winner in FIA Formula E. Over the moon with that, as will be the e.dams team.
His pace has never been in doubt, has it?
No.
Just he's finally put a weekend together, and you know, he's been in Jeff's shoes a couple of times, and you know, the shoes on the other foot today.
Carlos Funes directing Nelson Piquet Jr. where to go in the hubbub that is the Parc Ferme area. A big hug from Stephen Liu, the team principal of China Racing, and a second place for China Racing is a brilliant result for them as well.
Great to see that, isn't it? They put a lot of effort in, and they didn't have much to show for it. It's really good. Now, has De Grassi been on the podium every race?
Yes, he has now, every race.
Wow.
It was only one. He won in...
won the first race.
And then second in the last race. So.
Wow. 1, 2, 3. Very impressive. Yeah, he's built a nice little championship lead there.
Jarno Trulli with a 4th place finish. I think that'll be reasonably pleasing. And there is De Grassi, so he's now filled every podium slot, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. and only 7/10 of a second behind at the end, Nelson Piquet Jr. But it's it's Sebastian Buemi who has taken victory here in Punta del Este. He had to work hard for it.
Sebastian Buemi, you've shown pace ever since the test at Donington, and now finally your time has come. Congratulations, winning the third round of the Formula E race.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, it's been a very difficult journey so far because the first two races didn't go as expected, but today we did everything right. So I'm more than happy. I'm delighted for the team, for us, because it's been very difficult, and now we finally win our first race. So really happy.
And what happened at that chicane where you were trying to overtake Jean-Eric Vergne?
Yeah, basically I locked the rear wheel, so I had to cut the chicane. It wasn't really good, but I had to push very hard. He was very quick, but clearly I think we had a great strategy, and thanks a lot to the team.
And were you nervous that obviously he had the fan boost?
Yeah, I knew he had the fan boost, so he was going to use it. But, at the end of the day, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he had an accident, but really happy with the result.
All right, thanks very much. Jean-Paul Gilloux, you must be ecstatic right now.
Yeah, because, it's the third race. We were nearly winning the first one. We had problems in the second one. And now winning, it's quite nice. What did you do? So, it's 26 years that I race. We won incredible number of races, championship, but this one is quite something.
It's something you've been working towards a very long time, and you've put a lot of blood, sweat and tears into it.
No, but it's something, which is exceptional, because it's something that, this is the new era, it's electrical, it's completely different, and it was a completely different strategy, different approach, and to be there now, I think that it's a fantastic achievement. Thanks.
Congratulations, thank you.
And he's absolutely right. The Dams team that Jean-Paul Gilloux forms have had phenomenal amounts of success, and this is just another element to it. Now we can hear from Nelson Piquet Jr. Second place. How close was he to taking victory? Wasn't far off Buemi at the end.
Nelson Piquet, you started in second place and you finished in second place.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning we had an issue. I think I hit the curb a bit too strong in one of the chicanes, and I think I damaged one of the suspensions. That's why I was locking a lot of brakes. In the beginning, and I didn't have the pace, so I was eager to get back in the second car and try to do something. That's why our pace was a little bit better in the second car. So, I mean, in all, it was good. I mean, the first podium for the team, and that's what we needed, just to boost everybody's morale on the team, And, yeah, we've been improving, and I think next step is try to win a race.
And the pace has really improved in the last two races. Is there anything that you can put that down to?
I mean, it's just development. The team, we're working hard together, trying to learn, understand about the car, trying to deal with this energy, trying to be as efficient as possible. And, with experience, with time, you end up learning. So I think it's a package of everybody working hard together, and the results showing.
That definitely is. Thank you.
So Nelson Piquet Jr. there. Do you think he's got a goggles deal?
I was going to say, why is he wearing goggles? I didn't see those.
He's bringing back the sort of 60s look. Now we can hear from Lucas Di Grassi, podium in every race so far, and he is with Nicky Shields.
Third race and a third time you're on the podium. Congratulations.
Thanks. It wasn't the perfect weekend for us. We tried our best. We only qualified 6 due to a small problem in qualifying, and then in the race at the start I was squeezed into the wall and I lost 1 position after a very good start. After that we tried to recover some positions on the pit stop. We did. We were back in 4th and 5th. Then there was a drive-through from some drivers, and in the end a crash. We landed the 3rd position, but proved more than ever that we had the pace. I had the fastest lap of the race up to a certain point. Now we just need to put everything together for another win.
You guys definitely do have the pace. So I think Daniel Abt actually took the fastest lap from you.
Yes, Daniel did the fastest lap, but up to that moment the pace was very good. I was catching up Buemi and Vergne and Piquet by the last laps. Quite a good margin every lap, catching up, but this track is so difficult to overtake that opportunity has to appear so you can make the move. I decided to, in some points not take the risk, and I was rewarded with the 3rd place.
Well done, thank you.
So Nelson Piquet Jr. in second place, just in front of Lucas de Grassi. Sebastian Buemi taking victory. Let's have a look at the results, and it was 0.7 of a second, the gap in the end between the Swiss and the two Brazilians in second and third position. The first victory for Buemi and e.dams in FIA Formula E. 3 winners from 3 races. Jarno Trulli finishing in 4th place, a strong performance from him. Jaime Alguersuari just couldn't find a way past for the majority of the race. Bruno Senna managed to start 20th and finish in 6th place. Bird, Da Costa, Sarrazin, Brabham were the retirements, and Jean-Eric Vergne finished down in 14th position. As far as the team's drivers' points are concerned, Lucas de Grassi is now at the top of the championship. 18 points clear of Sebastian Buemi. That's a second place finish worth of points away from Buemi. Very impressive stuff from the Brazilian. Sam Bird still in 3rd place despite not finishing today. Nico Prost is in 4th. Nelson Piquet Jr. jumps up to 5th place in the championship standings, level on points with Jerome D'Ambrosio. In the team's championship, e.dams are now 2 points clear of Audi Sport Apt, and so it's very, very close at the top of those standings as well. Virgin not having the best of races, but they're still within touching distance, only 10 points off the lead of the championship. Then there's a bit of a big drop back to Dragon Racing behind in 4th. Onto the top step of the podium, shortly will climb Sebastian Buemi. The Swiss driver, the current world endurance champion alongside Anthony Davidson, is about to pick up another FIA accolade, the winner of the Formula E race here in Uruguay. And what a stunning place it's been for a race, Dario.
It has been, it has. I mean, if you're going to be completely sort of critical, you would want a couple more passing places next year on the track. Maybe just modify 1 or 2 of the chicanes, but what a challenging track. The turn 12, 13 area, really, that whole chicane area there, fantastic. And great crowd, good atmosphere, and a good race.
If I was really critical, I'd like to be here for longer. I think that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want a 3-week event in Punta del Este.
None of this one-day stuff.
Exactly. So, here was the action. Sebastian Buemi forcing his way past Nelson Piquet Jr. They were scrapping throughout the race. We had drive-through penalties, which gave Buemi a couple of places, and in the end gave him the lead of the race. Jean-Eric Vergne was chasing him down. The back end stepped out for Buemi, and then it did so again, coming down into the next chicane. Those were very curious moments, but in the end, Jean-Eric Vergne slowed in the Andretti car, and that allowed Sebastian Buemi in the blue and yellow e.dams car to move into the lead of the race comfortably and take victory just from Nelson Piquet Jr. as the checkered flag fell in Uruguay. And there was Buemi's reaction across the line. And a very happy e.dams garage the moment that Buemi took the checkered flag, and a very happy moment for Alain Prost. So the media gathering below the podium, getting ready for the presentations to take place. And it won't be long before we see Buemi, Piquet Jr. and Lucas de Grassi up there on the podium. And what a spectacular event it's going to be. There is Alejandro Agag, the CEO of Formula E, congratulating well, everyone really. Jean-Paul Driot and Sebastian Buemi first though. Getting some instructions about how the podium procedure is going to take place.
It will still be organised chaos, it always is. Because the drivers just don't listen.
So,
well, at least Piquet's got his goggles in case they spray champagne.
Maybe that's what it's for. Out onto the top step comes Sebastian Buemi, winner of the Formula E race here in Uruguay, along the beaches of Punta del Este. It's Sebastian Buemi who emerges victorious. Second place on the left there for Nelson Piquet Jr. On the right-hand side, Lucas de Grassi. Sebastian Buemi taking victory. So as a result, we will have the Swiss national anthem. Buemi waits on the top step, and there it goes. Swiss national anthem for Sébastien Buemi, the French. The French national anthem for the e.dams team. The Swiss national anthem for Sébastien Buemi. And there is the race-winning trophy handed over by Susana Hernandez, the Intendenta de Maldonado. Maldonado, the city that is just north of Punta del Este.
Martín Laventure, alcalde de Punta del Este, entrega el trofeo al equipo ganador, e.dams-Renault.
And then the trophy awarded by Martin Laventure, the alcalde de Punta del Este, handing over to Jean-Paul Driot for the winning team, e.dams Racing. e.dams-Renault, I should probably say. Second place trophy will be handed over by Juan Sartori, the director of BCN World, one of the sponsors of Formula E. Handed over to Nelson Piquet Jr. for Team China Racing. And then Marco Peroni from Julius Bahr, another Formula E sponsor, will hand over the trophy to our third place driver, Lucas de Grassi. He's now got one of all of them. A first, second and a third for de Grassi. But he's gradually going backwards, isn't he? He'll be off the podium next time. A really fantastic first Formula E race here in Punta del Este. It really has been spectacular. The race was non-stop action. It felt like non-stop action to me.
I think you saw how much it meant to Jean-Paul Driot.
Yeah.
Oh, he is putting the goggles on.
The champagne is sprayed. Jean-Paul Driot receives the main burst of it. Nelson Piquet Jr. is safe. But it's Sébastien Buemi who takes victory in round 3 of Formula E here in Uruguay. The next stop is Buenos Aires. A round of applause. The grid girls, I think, didn't necessarily enjoy that. They look quite happy, actually, considering what's just occurred. And there is Nelson Piquet Jr. in second place. Really strong performance from China Racing, because they were sort of slow getting up to speed, and now to be battling with e.dams and Abt, who right from the outset were the quick two teams, is impressive.
Yeah, you know, they showed flashes of it, but I think this weekend it all came together, certainly for Piquet, and I thought Garcia did not a bad job in the race. You know, it was a tough baptism, and it was always going to be tough coming from, you know, as I say, driving that Corvette in the IMSA series to come to do this. Yeah, he done a test day, but it's so different, and yeah, it's great to see that every team is able to compete. Every team is fighting certainly for podiums, and there's a good few teams fighting for the outright win.
Absolutely. So that concludes the racing action here in Uruguay, in Punta del Este. Next stop will be Buenos Aires in a couple of weeks' time, but we're still going to bring you more reaction from down in the pits. And there we can see everyone making their way away from the Punta del Este circuit. And this track has been used before for the Argentinian Touring Car Championship, and they're sort of quite beastly cars. And so it's a revised layout of that has been used here for Formula E, and it certainly showed, because it's a track that makes sense and feels quite natural, doesn't it?
The guys today, they said, you know, a good few of them said it felt a lot better than I was expecting. I think Nico Prost was very outspoken, saying, look, this was so much better than I thought it was going to be after the shakedown. And it seemed to flow. As I said, not an easy track to pass on, that can be fixed, but as a track it flowed very well. It was a challenge for the drivers, and we saw that particularly, we saw all day really. It was bloody difficult not to make a mistake, and when you went slightly over the limit, the wall was waiting, as it always is in a street course.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was also pleased with Jean-Eric Vergne's reaction as well, because he was a little bit unsure about the car, but then he really got to grips with it a little